Welcome to Besties and Bubbles.
Cheers, Kimberly.
Cheers, friend.
I love the cold bubbles.
So delicioso. And they're so pretty and bubbly.
And we're still using our cubes. If you never watched our little episode explaining why we drink from these cubes,
you need to check it out.
You got to go back and find that one.
Yes.
It's a cool little story.
Yeah.
So we wanted to talk today about, actually, this happened to me this last week. My dad is 86. My son is much younger, and he has a family of his own now, and he gave me this book, Grandpa, I Want to Hear Your Story. And he said, Can you help Grandpa fill this out? It's pretty cool. And I said, well, that's cool, because I bought him, Dad, I Want to Hear Your Story. So
apple doesn't fall far.
Yeah, right. But it's also kind of the cool thing about, he doesn't think that we want to hear how he grew up and stuff like that, but we do.
Right.
You know?
Well, I think you can never imagine your parents as a young person.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Even if you've seen the black and white photos.
Exactly.
And, I don't have video,
right.
Stuff like that. So of my parents when they were young. So this came about like our generation, the Gen X.
Yes.
Right.
We are.
And then the younger generation, and kind of talking about the differences. And that prompted what we're going to talk about today, because we hope that you pull your kids aside, or the younger generation. We got a lot of teachers out there.
We do, yeah.
And tell them how it was so different for us than what it is for them.
Yeah, and hopefully you can share some of your things that you've either maybe shared or are thinking about sharing as well. And, I think the biggest thing is we're Gen Xers, right? And we're raising a bunch of Gen Zers, right? And so by definition, Gen X's are born from 1965 to 1980. Let's just call it like it is. And then Gen Z is late 90s to the 2010s, right? So there's a gap. There. And there's a lot of things that we as Gen Xers have done growing up that are quite different. And I would say even more different than when our parents, whether they were our boomers, or the silent generation, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And I think the biggest thing is technology.
It has to be. Yeah.
Right. I mean,
right.
We didn't have technology. We barely had a color TV. That's probably the biggest technology piece.
Yeah. We did get a microwave, like when I was in junior high.
Oh.
And we were the first one. It was the size.
Did you have to do a dial?
It was like this big. It was massive. And I thought, wow. But yeah, we didn't have much technology.
So what were some of the things if we put technology aside for a minute, what were some of the things growing up that you remember, like whether it was getting your homework done, or, when to eat dinner, or, playing outside, or things like that?
I think our parents were scheduled. My dad didn't have a 9-to-5 job, but my mom was very scheduled. My dad was a contractor, so sometimes he would get home late, so he didn't always eat dinner with us. But on the weekends, he absolutely did.
Did she make a plate for him and cover it?
She made a plate for him, and then
I remember that as well.
Yep. TV dinners. Mm-hmm. Remember TV dinners? I love TV dinners. We were just talking to somebody about how our whole meal, I remember, was BLTs.
Oh. Was
that Amanda we were just talking about?
I don't remember.
Okay.
But
so, that was the meal. It was a BLT.
Yeah, definitely.
Now these kids want like 3-course meals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we never went out to eat.
It was a rarity.
Golden Bear occasionally on a Sunday night.
Occasion.
On the weekend. Never during the week.
Oh, no, never.
Never fast food either. We ate at home.
We always ate at home. Or like if you had to go somewhere, say someone had a baseball game or soccer game or whatever, you packed your dinner, which was then like sandwiches.
Right.
And then you just had a blanket, and whatever kids were around, you just you ate.
But also those games and stuff like that, those things were not during like family time. I remember.
Not at a young age.
Not at a young age. Not
High
at a
school
young
maybe,
age.
But not at a young age. Yeah.
Right. And now they have like, games on Mother's Day. Don't have games on Sundays on
Mm-hmm.
Mother's Day,
Or games during the week that start at 8 p.m.
Yeah. And you have a
for
young
grade
child.
schoolers.
Yeah, it's so different.
It's very
That
different.
that that is definitely so technology wise, I would say, yeah, like, we didn't have cable and we didn't have all those kind of things. And so communication was just the phone.
It was the phone, it was the mail, like the
The
actual
snail mail.
USPS
True.
mail.
You'd have pen pals, real pen
Right,
pals. Yeah,
yes. Or
true.
you wrote a note in the class and you passed, I mean, you passed notes hoping that you wouldn't get caught by the teacher because they would confiscate them. Or or if the teacher really didn't like you, they'd read them out loud.
That's really that happened?
Not to me personally, but
I don't remember that, but that is
yeah,
rude.
right? You never wanted.
Well, now it's just a text, and so they can't do that. But yes,
Right.
yeah, technology definitely. I think phones. So when did you think, like, when your kids, when you really felt technology was changing, where you saw that your kids were different than when you were growing up? Like, when did they get a phone? When were they able to?
Yeah, that's good. So we tried to hold off as long as possible, right? And that
Intentionally?
intentionally for our older children
Okay.
because I was like, who are you going to call? You go to school with all your friends. Like because this was not a smartphone, let's be clear
Right,
about that,
right, right. Yeah.
right? So the first phones that at least our older children had were not smartphones and I just was like, well, you already see all your friends. So, but I would say I do remember actually for my oldest, it was middle school because he was going to have to get on a bus. And I wanted to make sure he had, if the bus broke down or, what have
Yes.
you, he
Be
had
able
a
to.
way to get a hold of us.
That was the reason why
That was the
my
reason.
oldest got a phone, is because she went to cheerleading practice and she was coming home from cheerleading practice. And so we wanted to know
Yeah. It was
that
more of a
everything was okay. If
safety
something
feature.
happened, she was riding her bike. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I believe she got it. She might be correcting me, but I believe that's why she got her first phone. Yeah.
Okay. And I guess on the flip side, we were told to make a collect call and to say, Mom, pick me up, hang up.
There's a commercial
Right?
about that. Yeah. Like you're at the roller rink.
Yeah.
Collect call from need to be picked up.
Yeah. But again, that's a big difference,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
so it was more it was peace of mind so that I guess the difference is that we as Gen Xers would just wait for our rides, whereas we would go pick up our
Yes.
kids.
I walked a lot.
Yes, it
I
did walk.
walked a
I
lot
did walk a
and
lot.
rode my bike a lot.
Now, did you so growing up, how did you spend Saturday mornings?
Saturday was our cleaning day,
Oh,
I have to say.
okay,
We had
yes.
chores, we had things, everyone in the family had things they had to do.
Mm-hmm.
I dusted and cleaned the bathrooms.
Okay.
And we talked, I don't know that we got allowance, but there's a chance we got a few.
Maybe a small allowance.
Yeah, small
A couple
allowance.
nickels to rub together.
Throughout the years, but those were my jobs. And my mom would put on music and we would spend time cleaning. It was never a warm meal. So yes, it was like, whatever was there, cereal. We loved
Bowl
cereal.
cereal.
Bowl
Yeah.
of cereal. And Saturday morning cartoons.
The best.
You couldn't
You couldn't watch them until it was Saturday morning.
and you couldn't pause them.
No.
Your kids
If
need to
you
know,
missed
like,
it, you missed it.
you missed it. That was it. You couldn't hit pause and then go take a phone call or go do something else and come
Yeah.
back and then
Or even
see
go
the
to
end
the
of it.
bathroom.
No, you had to just
You
sit
watched
there.
the whole entire show.
And commercials were great too.
Yeah.
So you just didn't want to pee the whole time because you didn't want to miss anything.
I feel like that's where we learned about Chia Pets.
Chia
Was on
Pets.
Sunday, or the Sea Monkeys.
Yes.
Or
yes.
I'm trying to think of what else.
I'm only a bill. Yes,
on Capitol Hill.
Yes.
Yes.
It's funny, somebody in the news just brought that up. This is a Schoolhouse Rock. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, remember Schoolhouse Rock?
I love Schoolhouse
That was on
Rock.
Saturday mornings.
I love Schoolhouse Rock.
Yeah.
Loved
That's
it.
how I know how a bill becomes a law.
This is very
Schoolhouse
true.
Rock.
I feel my Saturday mornings were very similar to yours. We did chores. I had to clean bathrooms.
You had the bathrooms too, huh?
I had the
Why do we have to do the
bathrooms,
bathrooms? Yeah.
and I also was the dishwasher for a period of time because we didn't have a dishwasher.
Okay.
That wasn't just Saturday mornings.
All right.
Let's be clear about that.
Right, right, right,
My
right.
parents didn't
I don't
like,
think that was not my thing.
yeah. But same thing, Saturday morning cartoons, pouring the bowl of cereal with the milk and literally turning the box around and like reading the box.
That's what you did when you ate.
That was your entertainment.
You read the back, and it didn't change day to day, but you still read it every day.
You knew it all.
Yeah.
Like there might be word finds, there might be little
maze.
Yeah, right?
Or there were a couple times there was like a contest. We did enter some contests. Do you remember that?
I do.
Fruit Loops had one where you had to like you had to, well, we're kind of artists in our family, and so we did where we had to like it was some kind of drawing contest, but it was on the back of Fruit Loops.
Yeah. Or there were also like prizes in the cereal box.
Absolutely.
Did you ever try to get it before you ate all the cereal?
Yes. But the problem is I was one of 5 kids. So I don't think I rarely got the prize.
And you were on the younger side.
Yeah.
See, I was one of 3
Number
and
4.
I was the oldest. So I was always putting my hand in.
That's the reason why you got the prize.
Yeah.
Which was a piece of crap.
I was going to say.
It wouldn't even be at the dollar store right now.
No. It's probably like some magnifying glass or a sticker.
Right. So this stuff like that, like the stuff we didn't have, but also we had like great family time because when you were out to dinner, nobody was on their phone.
No.
When you were on vacation, there was no,
we played games.
We
card
played
games, just board games.
Yep. We had
played all
everything.
kinds of games.
Scrabble.
Yes.
Yeah. Monopoly, Candyland.
Did you ever play Parcheesi?
That's an
oldie game. It's kind of like did you ever play Sorry with your kids?
Yes.
Or Sorry growing up?
Yes.
It's like the original version of Sorry. It's Parcheesi.
Okay. Old. We didn't have Parcheesi.
Yeah.
But we did play games and camping. I remember we had a camper, so we did camp.
Yeah.
And our church every Memorial Day weekend would go away for a big camping thing, and that was like the best time of our life.
I feel like as a kid,
all
camping
these
was
kids
so much
running
fun.
around. We played Capture the Flag, and that was like so fun because we weren't distracted with the social media and we weren't distracted with the technology.
Yeah.
You didn't have any of that. You sat around the fire and made, you know.
Yeah.
Thing.
So did you though did you watch certain TV shows with your kids as they were growing up?
I tried not to, Kim.
No TV?
I tried not to watch them. I didn't like, I know this is weird. You're going to learn something about me you really did know.
Okay.
I don't like cartoons.
What?
I don't.
You don't?
I never watched cartoons when I was little. Now, the Saturday morning things was like, I'm telling you, I don't like.
No Flintstones? You don't like the Flintstones?
I could say I've watched a few, but I never really enjoyed cartoons. I liked the real people ones. Tom and Jerry, they were mean to each other. It made me feel bad.
They were mean. But what about Bugs Bunny? He was kind of funny.
No, that was Roadrunner wanted to kill him all the time. Again, mean.
Elmer Fudd.
Who's Elmer Fudd?
Porky Pig.
Yeah, he wanted to shoot
That's
the
all
pig.
the Looney Tunes.
Yeah. So anyway, I wasn't a big cartoon person.
Okay, but what about...
So now that fast forward to my kids,
yeah,
I had a hard time with it. But my kids watched like SpongeBob SquarePants, and they had a little bit of humor that was more for the adults.
100%.
Monsters, Inc., I'll give it to you. Brilliant. Because it had humor for the adults.
This is very true.
Yeah.
This is very true.
So I think I watched movies with my kids, but I don't think I watched TV shows.
So no Disney channels? No Disney shows?
No. I know of them. Like Zack and Cody and Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and stuff.
But we watched like Little Einsteins and Bear in the Big Blue House and
okay.
Trying to think.
We had
Dora the
DVDs,
Explorer.
not DVDs, but we had cassette tapes of Baby Einstein.
Okay.
Because I thought that was going to make my kids smarter.
I mean,
maybe it did.
Barney's actually making a comeback.
Barney's still around.
Well, I think he kind of died, and now he's making a comeback.
He's been resurrected,
Yes,
Bernie?
yeah, I guess so.
Barney, I used to record myself because, and then I'd have to like
Yeah,
remember to go
yeah,
hit record and then stop and then I'd piece them all together and then yeah, I'm
yeah. Or
sorry,
the
Nicole, but
Wiggles.
I
The
would.
Wiggles were
We
another
didn't
one.
watch the Wiggles.
No,
What age?
fruit salad.
What age kids were your
My
Wiggles?
kids, my older kids.
We didn't have the Wiggles.
We loved the
Sesame
Wiggles.
Street,
Well, yes,
still,
I
yeah.
loved Sesame Street
I love
growing up.
Sesame Street too. Yeah.
Electric Company,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. But my kids didn't really watch. They watched Sesame Street. I don't think they watched
Yeah,
the
I think
others.
most of our kids grew up on Disney Channel. They had
Yes, or
when we grew up,
Nickelodeon.
we
Yeah,
had one channel, and
yeah,
it was Channel 11, and that was it. Now
yes,
our kids had the benefit of recording, so they had
yes,
DVDs or they had video, whatever, like some way to
yes. I agree.
see episodes. And then they also had Disney Channel and other. They had way more channels than we did too,
Yeah.
and we didn't have. We had one.
What do you think about Gen X and the way that we judge people?
What do you mean?
Do you think we're judgy?
On what?
Well, like
This is going somewhere. I'd like to know.
well, so I feel like we just kind of call people out the way we see it. And maybe not, and this is growing up, right? I feel
Okay.
as adults we're different now, but I feel we didn't have a lot of compassion, maybe per
Mm.
se. Whereas I do think Gen Z does. I think
Hmm.
that,
That's
I
interesting
think
that you would say that.
they've
Yeah.
grown up thinking like, well, man, maybe someone's acting this way, but maybe they had a hard day. We don't know what's going on
Yeah.
inside someone's head, so maybe we should have a little bit more compassion for them. Whereas I feel when we grew up, it was just like, well, this is how it is.
You labeled kids.
Yes.
There was
yes.
no idiot. Yeah,
yeah.
that I agree.
Right.
But I remember telling my kids that because it's what I later understood about mental health and stuff as I became an adult and my education and everything else.
Yeah.
So I think I was able to explain that to my kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel that we were first introduced to like remember all the like the take a bite out of crime, the McGruff whatever, the little
Dare.
Yeah, and
the Dare program about drugs.
That was all Nancy Reagan was all about the Dare program, right? Don't do drugs or
that was 84 5. So,
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So I feel that those were things that maybe necessarily our parents weren't introduced, but we were, and then that just continued to evolve.
Yeah.
For Gen Z.
It's true, but we were still we were on our own a lot. We were those latchkey kids. We were the ones that were home. Like, I don't know any kid that just goes home now and there's nobody there. They go to a babysitter or something. We went home and just figured it out.
You're absolutely right. We did have the keys around our necks. You kind of knew your route of how to walk home, and if something
we didn't
happened,
lock our house, Kim.
Oh, you didn't?
We didn't lock our house. I've never had a key to my house.
Really?
Nope. I mean, maybe they locked it at night.
You lived in nicer neighborhoods than I did.
We
always locked our doors.
All my people I went to high school with, they're like, no, she did not live in a nicer neighborhood. Maybe we locked the door at night, but I never had a key to my house that I remember.
So the door was always open.
Yeah, it was unlocked.
Yeah, unlocked, not open necessarily. Yeah. Okay, fair.
And you knew the neighbors, and you knew that you could go for this and that. My other neighbor was home quite a bit, but my parents were always home.
I'd be interested to know if our friends grew up that way too.
Yeah,
they probably did. Maybe I'm the odd person out.
And it's not to say that things bad didn't happen to other people, but you didn't hear about it.
Well, we learned about stranger danger.
We did learn about stranger danger.
Right. So that was a thing.
Missing kids were on the back of a milk.
This is very true.
They weren't all over social media. Where now we have an Amber Alert.
We do, which unfortunately comes from particular children that have gone missing, and now we're trying to do something about it. Right. So,
yeah.
But yeah, we stayed out till the street lights came on. My mom had a whistle that she
played
blew
outside.
when it was
we played outside way more than the kids play outside now. Yeah. I think that's for sure. I think that we we definitely I mean, I'm still close with with the kids that I grew up in. And I was thankfully there were a bunch of people my age or kids, here or there, you know what I mean? And there were a lot of kids in my family. So I have great memories
Yeah.
of playing with the kids.
Did you walk to school, like grade school?
Yes. I walked to every school, Kim.
Every
I lived
school.
exactly where I walked to elementary school, I walked to middle school through the backyards,
Oh yeah, the
and
same.
then
Yeah.
also to high school until I got a car.
Hmm. Did you let your kids walk to school?
No. I drove my kids to school.
Could they walk to school?
We didn't qualify for the bus, but I just felt like A, it was safer. B, I was home. Did you drive your kids, or did you let them walk?
So
You live closer to the
where
school.
we live in our community,
Yeah,
we our elementary schools are a walking school district,
yeah,
right? That's why they're neighborhood
yeah.
schools and so forth. And we do live close to the public school, and which is kindergarten through fifth grade. And I do remember telling my boys it was third grade because now they could be on the intermediate side of the school versus the primary side of the
Okay,
school, but they had to walk a certain way because I didn't want them to walk on Main Street. So I
right.
had to walk the
That
back
makes
streets. So
sense.
we walked together, and maybe I did follow them the first time or so, but they got the hang of it. And then even my youngest son, who went to private school a little bit further, but within a mile, would
Yeah.
ride his bike. And that was, I think, fifth, sixth grade. We let him ride his bike on his own. That didn't mean we didn't follow him the first few times to make sure. Well, because
I
he
wonder
had
if
to
he knows
cross.
that. That's
Well, he
so
had to
funny.
cross busy streets. He had to
Right.
cross a
I get
railroad
it
track. You just get a little nervous
because you know more. That's why
right?
we were more nervous
But
than
I think
our parents. They were just like, I remember being sent up like, can you go to the store and get this and this? And I'd be like, okay. She'd give me money and I'd be
yeah,
on my bike.
yeah,
I'd go to the
right,
grocery store for my
yeah.
mom. Yeah.
Or I even think some of my friends bought cigarettes for their parents
Cigarettes?
because
You
they'd have
didn't
a
have the
note.
card? Oh, you
No,
had a note?
they had a note. This wasn't me, but
Stop
my
it.
girlfriend had a note saying, so and so is allowed to buy cigarettes for me.
At like the convenience store where
Yeah,
they knew?
yeah.
What? I didn't know that.
Just saying.
My parents didn't smoke, but
Yeah,
I did not know that that was a possibility.
yeah. Or think about the vending machines. You could just put money in a vending machine and get a
That's
pack of
true.
cigarettes,
Man, yeah.
right? They don't even exist anymore.
So did you smoke?
I did not smoke.
I did not smoke
No,
either. Why
no.
didn't we smoke if it was so
I had a lot of friends that did.
yeah.
Um, well, not a lot, but I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I have smoked a cigarette. Let's be clear, but I would not consider myself to be a
Okay.
smoker, right?
Interesting. Interesting.
But yeah, I don't know.
Hmm. Well, I think that it's obviously very different the way that we grew up than our kids are growing up. But I think they do want to know. And if they don't say they want to know, they're at the wrong age. Because again, my son's in his late 20s now,
Mm-hmm.
and he's saying, hey, I want to know about how grandpa grew up.
Yeah, or even he wants to know about you
He does.
too.
Well,
He
he doesn't
does.
think, he also doesn't think that I'm at risk of passing anytime soon, right?
True.
Right? That's
Okay.
why he didn't give
Okay.
me a book, right? He gave my dad a book, right? Who's 86. But
Right.
I think that it's very important to have these conversations with your kids so they know. Because when they're old enough, they're going to want to tell their kids,
Yeah.
you know?
No, I agree. And I think a great way to do that would be walking or watching Back to the Future.
Look at you.
Right?
Out of nowhere. Kim
Out of
says,
nowhere.
all right, so we're going to have like film night.
Yeah. How fun would that
It
be?
was a cute movie. It was a cute movie for
I
sure.
loved it. I loved it. So I think we would love to hear from you, friends, if you are sharing stories like this
Yeah.
with
Or how you're doing it.
or how you're doing it, or maybe you're even doing it with your parents.
Or you're making videos.
Yes.
That has got to be a thing that somebody is doing that, right? Where they record so like your stories can be told. Like, yes, there's a book or, you can tell a story and then repeat it to somebody else. But I bet there's some company out there that's doing like, doing videos and asking questions and stuff like that. So like my great grandkids could see me now,
Yes.
where I
It,
look pretty good, like, because I still have Botox and I had, you know what I mean? I just got my
you
eyebrows
do it well,
done.
girlfriend. You do it
What I'm
well.
saying is, like, I am a grandma, but, like, while I still look presentable, I bet you there's companies that say, hey, you should be doing this, tell your stories. So my great, 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 even grandchildren
Yes.
can see me.
Because
We
this
didn't have the
technology is
benefit of
not
it.
going away.
Right. No.
This isn't going away.
No, absolutely not.
So,
Okay, interesting. We
yeah,
should get on that.
we should. We should research it and we'll get back
This
to you.
whole thing prompted questions for us with our kids too. So it's been interesting. Good topic.
It's been fun.
Good topic, friend.
Cheers.
Cheers to you.
And
I
cheers
think I
to
drink
you
more
too.
than you.
I don't.
Mm.
Maybe.